It's been a long day so far, but we've still got games to go. Me and Agro are going to bring you the next one in the series. I believe we're up to like game 12 or something like that out of 15, or is it 11 out of 15?
Yeah, I think we're at 12. That sounds about right.
Around that. Let's have a look at the standings, though, and
there.
see exactly where they are right about now. All these teams at the moment still competing to get into the Pro League. However, last-minute monsters with 4 matches played and 4 losses, goodbye friends and deserted, they're going to be joining them too with how this is going on. New Game Plus. Different situation for them, though. They still have an opportunity.
Still a race to finish those top 3 spots. Cyclone, they've secured their spot. They're moving on. They're going to be in the SPL Spring Split for Season 4. Question is, who's going to be joining them? And this next game, Elevate versus Novus Orsa, is huge for these teams.
Well, it secures one of them guaranteed. It could potentially put New Game Plus to bed at the same time. So it's all up in the air still with how this one goes out. Novus versus Elevate. These two teams both have been in the Pro League with most of their members. A couple of new members joining each of these rosters. Going to be interesting to see how this one plays out.
Yeah, 3 members from each team still remaining from their SPL rosters. For Novus Orsa, it's their duo lane that gets replaced. Frezzyy and FleuryQ, they're going to be heading that duo lane for Novus Orsa. And then the other side, mid-jungle, you see Faeles and BlizzardFX for Elevate. So who's going to, maybe the veterans will step up for either team, or it could be the new players.
I think the new players on Elevate have really shown their stuff today overall.
Yeah.
I mean, Blizzard and Faeles in the mid lane. They've both been playing actually really, really solid. More so than the regular members.
Yeah, Faeles, I think, has been the best of the newcomers to these 2 teams. Of the 4, I'd say Faeles is playing the best out of them.
Let's get into picks and bans and see if Faeles can continue his winning ways so far and try and find his team the W, which should put him through to the SPL.
That's a direct shot at MoGoW. The first ban Odin, just right at MoGoW. I mean, this tells me that we could see Ducky go immediately for a Hercules pick. That's been the, you pick Hercules, we pick Odin, then we just cage you. Sylvanas for Frezzyy.
Do you reckon he's still got like nightmares about
I was just about to say, he sees the thing pop up like trade for Sylvanas. I can do this. I'm not going to die 19 times. I can do this.
Tough Nike, pretty much 2 standard bans we're expected to see predominantly for the time being. Maybe with Nike's changes next patch, we may see a drop from that
Could
role,
be.
but
We'll see. Yeah, we'll wait and see. Nike passive still just
It's
nuts.
still Nike passive, you know?
Yeah,
like
it's still pretty
presence.
crazy.
But Hercules prioritizes the #1 pick here. That kind of instifies why they banned the Odin.
Plus, I mean, we have seen Frezzyy play this in the support role, so it doesn't necessarily mean it's going over to Ducky. Elevate, that Dardez very, very comfortable on Fafnir, but that's a direct shot at Frezzyy in my mind, making sure that you're not giving Frezzyy the guy that he's most comfortable on.
And Apollo to go alongside that in the Bruise Brothers lane. Jermain and Dardez have 2 pretty much priority picks for themselves where they're going to be very comfortable on. They need to establish some dominance in this lane because Frezzyy and Dardez have very similar playstyles of aggression, aggression.
All the time. They're always jumping in. They're always trying to make stuff happen. Freya locked in here for Novus Orsa. That could be middle Freya. I mean, we saw ShadowNightmare play it earlier.
Could be.
Susano going to be the choice here for FrostiaK. This feels to me like the teams are just trying to take stuff away from one another. Faeles looked very, very good on Susano earlier on.
That's true.
Is Susano really a FrostiaK sort of god? Ratatosker was banned away, so you're not going to be able to see him on that, but I don't know. Hunbat seems more like a FrostiaK god to me, but it's going to be Faeles playing.
It almost feels like they've just gone for comfort, but at the same time, what they think is OP. They've seen tier lists and gone, this is supposed to be strong, this is supposed to be strong, let's just pick all these things. And go for the strongest picks we can. Then try and look for some synergy once you get to this stage.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see. Khepri banned away from Frezzyy. Chalk going to be the shot. They do think that's going to be, or no, that's Chalk banned by Novus Orsa. Right, on a MoGoW.
So he's got Hades and Raw left.
Yeah, Hades. That's got to be the ban,
Do you want to
right?
play Hades against Herc, though, if it's going to be Herc?
No, I don't want to play Hades ever.
Really?
Not really, no.
Okay.
Though with the Heebie-Chibi Hades skin, it kind of it persuades me a little bit to play a little bit of that. It's pretty good.
The raw ban as well. So they hit it, MoGoW again. So they 3
That's
bans
at
against
MoGoW.
MoGoW. And just in case he wanted to play Rat for a bit of spicy assassin, Janus, we're not seeing too much of that just lately. Why are we not seeing Janus?
I mean, we have seen a decent amount of Janus so far today, but it hasn't been as much as probably Poseidon or something like that. You're not bringing that early burst and early wave clear. Janus is one of the better wave clearers early on in mid, but it does take him a couple levels to get there. His level 1 wave clear in particular, not very good. Poseidon a little bit better. Level 2, it's pretty good. He can basically one-shot the archers as long as he's using 2 abilities. But, good, but probably not the best for everyone. Janus is still one of those gods that in the right hands just seems unkillable and unplayable. You just can't play against him, but it's not the god for everyone.
Well, Novus have released their hand now. Neith and Tyr, the final two, which means Hercules should be in the support role here. Neith could be flexible to mid or this hunter role just because we've seen ShadowNightmare run that Freya in mid before, which I'm not sold on personally.
No, neither am
we'll
I.
See.
Neither am I. And with Janus in the middle lane against you, you just have to deal with so much mobility. They're going to be able to chase you down in the jungle very, very easily. Though you also don't really want to stick Freya over there in the dual lane and just get the through space of time coming behind you for the whole police squad coming up. It's tough to play Freya up against Janus wherever you are.
Well, this game will guarantee one of these two teams in the Pro League is basically how this one plays out.
Yeah.
One team's still up in the air, the other team guaranteed.
That's a lot of pressure to be putting on these players, and they've, we've been saying it's a long day for the viewers at home, for us as casters, but it's a long day for these players as well. They've got to wait for their games to be done and ready to go. Like, it isn't easy to keep your concentration for this long, and that's where some of the LAN experience these teams gained last season coming to the group stages really pays off.
I don't care about the players and how long they're going to play. I don't care about us having to cast a lot. I care about the fact that, shout out to the fans for them sat here this whole day. If you've been watching all day, respect to you for tuning in for all this action.
Hopefully hi-rez lootbot hooked you up.
Yeah, hopefully. I got 9 today. I'm not even joking. I really got 9. I'll even tweet
you
about
are
it
just so
just to annoy
triggered
people.
every chat.
I didn't even know I was getting it until I looked and I got 9 this afternoon from like 2:30 this afternoon. I've had 9.
I haven't gotten anything. Come on, hi-rez lootbot.
It's because you're bad and no one likes you.
Well, now everyone in Twitch chat who hasn't gotten anything thinks that no one likes them and they're bad.
You don't have to say that about the viewers. That's not nice. Start the game, though. Frezzyy once again doing what he's done before. He's looking for a driving strike on Faeles, who just overhand smashed.
Oh, but he waits!
Loved the beads from Faeles. Loved the hesitation from Frezzyy, but just didn't last long enough.
Yeah, almost a great play there from Frezzyy. Faeles would have been dead, 100%, if Frezzyy just waits half a second longer on that driving strike. But there you see how dangerous it is to push up in mid without any sort of ward coverage. You can see Elevate doesn't really have any wards on the map right now.
Well, here's the issue, though, Aggro, is that by doing that, yeah, you get pressure in mid lane, but your dual lane gets invaded, loses purple buff. It is Neith, though, that's now going to be level 2, so her clear does escalate massively at the second level with backflip into Spirit Arrow she could use.
Exactly, and of the 4 buffs, purple is the least important, especially in the early stages of the game. I mean, the 10 penetration helps you out, but it's not as important as, say, the damage buff, which helps you clear better. The blue buff helps you stay in lane. Of course, the speed buff, always been the best buff in Smite, just extra movement speed letting you get around.
And the grand scheme of things, I guess you try to get Freya ahead in the mid lane over getting an Apollo ahead in the left-hand lane. So it's still 2 hyper carries, basically, in the later stages of the game.
BlizzardFX, they get a lot of damage, and FrostiaK actually picks him up. First blood going the way of Novus Orsa. I mean, I don't know if Susano's the FrostiaK god, but I guess it is.
No, you did it earlier on today. He's showing it again. The pressure early on has been fantastic. Now they can invade the red buff on this left-hand side. Faeles is coming in with Dardez and Jermain to contest as well. Frezzyy taking a lot of poke from the in-hands from Jermain, and still investment, but a great pull from Frosty could turn this around. Frezzyy juking for his life with reinforcements of Blizzard being here.
The meditation was perfect there by Dardez. Still, everyone fighting ShadowNightmare. It's just a level 3 Freya. That's not when you want to be fighting as this character. So beautiful over the wall, a little bit off the mark, but FrostiaK, he's going in, he picks up Jermain!
Bluestone good enough, and the beads are even better to avoid the pull. Pulls Dardez away from ShadowNightmare too! FrostiaK's having the game of his life. I've never seen this. Monkey juice from Faeles! Ooh!
Now he's got an angle! He could go around the left side, but he is on the ward, and ShadowNightmare is trying to back. FrostiaK making so many plays there in the jungle. Really, really heads-up play from him. Frezzyy just not quite on the mark with that driving strike. Really sets that engagement to go poorly for Novus Orsa, but the 3-man pull from FrostiaK immediately turns it around. And on the other end, you got to give a lot of shout-outs to Dardez, because that meditation, without it, that would have been a team wipe, basically.
Yeah, that was just an amazing engagement from both teams overall. Individual plays from FrostiaK, individual plays from Dardez, and then Faeles as well with the monkey toss. A little bit of luck involved, but he knew what he was doing. Calculated is what he would be saying.
That monkey has never traveled farther in its life, from the red buff wall all the way to the enemy red buff. And you got only in Season 4, man, Oracles. Without the Oracles, that never happens, but they use the Oracles to bounce off and get the kill onto FrostiaK. Unbelievable.
Well, if FrostiaK doesn't make the Pro League based off that play, he'll look back and hate on these Oracles this time round, because now the Oracles
worst change ever
into Elevate's favor here, which will give him a ward as well as some nice experience and gold.
And that's really the ward coverage is very important early on here. It's not about getting coverage of early Gold Fury sneaks necessarily. It's about where the jungler is exactly. Where is everyone rotating? Where can I play up in in this lane or just being able to save that 50 gold really helps you out a lot.
Now with the Hercules on the support as well, he did stop the War Flag, which you've seen him do a couple of times. He's gone for the Chalice of the Healing as well as the Warding Chalice as well. It does allow for a bit more pressure from Novus Orsa across the map, and that's what FrostiaK's looking to do, and problematically steal the speed, but it didn't happen.
I like the idea. It's worth using your ultimate there to try and make sure you secure the enemy speed buff, not only getting it for yourself, but taking away that golden experience. Frezzyy, he didn't get hit by Fear No Evil, but the banish was perfect. BlizzardFX actually off the mark with Fear No Evil on a feared target there. Not a good look for him.
The ult from Faeles was fantastic there, but the banish from ShadowNightmare was even better because they were looking for a hard pick onto Frezzyy. Used 2 ultimates there. You saw Space and Time fired by Blizzard at the same time, but the recognition from ShadowNightmare about the danger cancelled it all out.
Very, very heads-up play there from ShadowNightmare, helping out his new support player. And there you see the War Flag. You can see just how fast everyone is moving. After Frezzyy helps Ducky and FrostiaK clear that buff, they all get that War Flag passive, giving them that movement speed and just allows them to move around the map very, very quickly.
Doesn't seem like a lot of movement speed, but it does slowly add up. Like 1% here, 2%, 3%. Like that does get you in closer range to kill a target or get away.
We just talked about how good Nike passive is, and that even tier 1 Nike passive, same sort of thing, exactly.
And it also sustains your team up as well, just to add that one on top of War Flag. Gives you a lot more for a warrior support. If it was a Guardian, they'd love it too.
Now, there is a trade-off to it in that you don't get the farm that you usually do, courtesy of Watcher's Gift, and you could see Frezzyy fall behind in gold due to that. In fact, he's already at the bottom of the net worth charts. You can see he's about 150 gold down to Dardez, and he still wants to go aggressive onto him, even and not having finished off his boost.
They're trying to bait a fight, and they're looking at Jermain instead. Immediate meditation from Dardez, but pulled in again from FrostiaK, who dashes in one more time for some extra poke. Fails with the monkey toss there, going to detract Novus from aggressing. Worried about the Fear No Evil being up, which was down. The World Weaver was very late there.
Oh, but they were looking at MoGoW. Was trying to hit MoGoW, but they ate it in the middle lane. It doesn't matter. Ducky still able to pick him up, but a little bit of luck going the way of Elevate in that scenario.
It has to sometimes, though. And when you're firing it from Neith on the right-hand side, the odds of hitting someone in mid is pretty high in the grand scheme of things. At the end of the day, it wasn't enough to keep MoGoW alive.
Look at the damage that FrostiaK is doing right now. He's got the Bluestone, just synergizes so well with Susano's kit. And now ShadowNightmare, he's trying to get the last hit onto Blizzard, and he will! All 4 connect! ShadowNightmare, but the whoop, right? It actually immunes the damage from that Typhoon, but it doesn't matter. Great play there between the long-time mid-jungle combination in ShadowNightmare and FrostiaK.
That was more ShadowNightmare just recognizing how much damage he could do and how close he could get Blizzard to death. And he calculated it perfectly because he needed all 4 shots, had to connect them, and at the same time, Blizzard was just too far away from a wall to do anything about it.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. I know I sound like a broken record when it comes to Janus players, but if you're standing in the middle of the lane, you're doing something wrong. You need to be next to the wall at all times.
Well, the Oracle's going to go the way of Elevate here. Don't think they wanted the Gold Fury there, as you can see. They just want the vision and control of that area for the time being. The gold difference between the two is around 1,000 right now in favor of Novus so far. Experience approaching 2K.
Now, the hype meter for all the plays has really been heavily in Novus Orsa's favor, but the gold difference really isn't. I mean, 1,600 gold at 7 minutes is solid, but it's by no means a snowball sort of scenario.
It's not out of there yet.
Exactly. So Elevate, despite being on the receiving end of some highlight reel plays, they're still absolutely in a great spot to win this game.
Left, Harpy's being contested here. Jermain is around the corner too. It looks like Blizzard stole those ones away, I want to say. Looked like he should have done anyway with that unstable vortex connecting onto both of them. And now everyone just goes back to farm again. Frezzyy on the Hercules, gone for Warrior Tabby as well. So no gold game whatsoever really on this support.
Yeah, and you can see already Jermain actually tried to get ganked by FrostiaK there, but well-timed dash gets him out of the way of that wind siphon. You can see, I was about to say, you could already see the net worth for Frezzyy very, very low in comparison to that of Dardez, about 500 gold in the rear.
Top from MoGoW on the right side, looking to secure his own blue buff, and will do so just to make sure Ducky can't steal that away after finding the solo kill earlier on there. And MoGoW just weathering the storm for the time being, hoping for the team fights.
Now, Erlang Shen, I believe this is the first time we've seen him since in Season 4, no longer has that cripple on his pin, on his second ability. Still roots in the center, but doesn't have the cripple, so it's not going to shut down tier nearly as well as it used to.
And taking just Faeles through it now. Obviously, doesn't really worry about roots too much in the grand scheme of things. When he's got a Faeles available, he's still going to be able to cast and get away. The old times, it used to force him to have to use the Lawbringer, but Fear No Evil here FrostiaK looking to secure. Oh, picks up one. Faeles is already dead. Gold Fury reset. ShadowNightmare looking to go aggressive as well. Now it's a turnaround for Novus to look at the
Gold Fury is still very low. They're going to be able to snag this, no problem whatsoever. Through space and time a little bit late. Jermain still on the chase there, it looked like, for FrostiaK, but he'll be able to survive with just a little sliver of HP. Meanwhile, MoGoW ran into the jungle thinking his services were needed, but they weren't. Ducky's still here pushing down his tower.
It's always the risk-reward of do I rotate or stay in lane, and he got punished in the tower scheme of things for the time, and it's not enough for Ducky to get the tower, but that is a considerable amount of damage off one wave.
Very much so. Frezzyy still trying to find that pull underneath the mid-tower. Blizzard a little bit off the mark with that portal. That could have spelled probably not a kill onto Frezzyy, especially with this heal available, but certainly a lot of damage.
Now we've seen a lot of Bombers Bluestone starts coming out from the junglers for the most part here. I guess there's a few different builds, but is it mainly focused around whether you're ability-based jungler or you're an auto-attack-based jungler?
For the most part, yeah. I mean, some of the gods that you don't even think necessarily of, like consistent ability based on. Now, gods like Thor, Bluestone, phenomenal on. You can proc it from a distance. You could easily get 2 procs on it if you crash down on someone and hit them with any sort of ability. But even on gods like Serket that really are trying to all-in you, it's just that slight bit of extra damage on top of all the abilities, plus the ability to let you clear a little bit better with those abilities. And you're right, I mean, on the auto-attack sort of centric ones, like Thanatos doesn't really need Bluestone necessarily. You can go for the Death Toll, get a little bit more sustain, a little bit more power than the Bluestone option.
Frezzy's in trouble. I was going to say Frezzy's in trouble in the mid lane there, but he's looking to fight 3 as a Hercules. That's okay.
Frezzyy.
It's still Herc.
It's still Herc, still Frezzyy, still good. The other thing I was going to say is that I'm surprised we haven't seen a lot of Bumbas into Boots 2 starts, just really getting really close to that Boots 3 early on.
Got Chuggle on MoGoW, who's still in trouble there. The World Weaver was coming, it wasn't even needed. As still another free pick there as MoGoW gets picked off by a good collapse from Novus.
And again, through space and time, just not the right spot, not the right time. Maybe if you put it right into the wall as soon as MoGoW gets fearless, you can suck him through the portal, but it's going to be difficult to get him out in that scenario, even if the best case scenario.
And now for the time being, it's going to be sit back for both teams. Gold Fury is down, but they're looking at Frezzyy again in the mid lane here. Everything invested in him, it was worthwhile in the grand scheme of things. It cost him 2 ultimates, but there's nothing to really lose on the map right now. I say that, but tier 1 tower on the right is dead, blue buff being stolen, tier 2 being pushed.
And exactly, that's Frezzyy, you know, you're like, oh, it's so funny he gets killed while spam taunting in the middle lane, but he just pulled 3 people to mid and got 2 ultimates for himself. He's only level, I mean, he is level 10, so he's got a good amount of farm to him, but he's still bottom of net worth in the game. He's not worth that much gold, and all the while, the rest of his team, they're taking your tower. This is what Frezzyy does. He makes you want to kill him in the game and just pulls you out of position because of it.
And one of the reasons Hercules is great for doing this sort of role as well is the mitigate wounds of healing it all back up again. The old mitigate wounds, we keep coming back to it. It used to be a tick over time that you healed for after absorbing the damage. Well, now it's a massive burst heal. Think Erlang Shen when he uses his ultimate in terms of like how quickly that health comes back.
I mean, we saw it in the last game. The Hercules was 10% HP and all of a sudden he's 90% HP. It's just ridiculous how much health he heals. But for the Hercules in support, I don't know about this Mail of Renew, or excuse me,
Shield of Regrowth.
Shield of Regrowth. I was thinking like Runic. I was all over the place there, but it's just it's very selfish. Yeah, very selfish, very greedy. No additional protections or health or HP5 or MP5 for
and it
your
hurts
team.
your team in auras. That's the big thing overall. Sovereignty, you know, very strong, as well as hardwood. I mean, there's still viable alternatives there. Thieves as well. These things can help out in terms of keeping your team alive, giving them protections for the major team fights. Individual builds on supports was something that we saw a little bit at the start of Season 2 with Hide of the Urchin rushes, but then as the time went on, everyone realized you've got to look after the team as well.
That's true, and you can see actually Dardez also going for a different item second. Oh, hold that thought. Portal Demon actually gets stolen away, courtesy of that hammer from Dardez, able to just take that right out of the hands of Novus Orsa, but he's going for this Jade Emperor's Crown second item, and that may be a new looking item for many of you out there watching, and that's a physical protection item, gives you a little bit of magical power as well, but the big thing is that aura. It's reducing the enemy's physical power by 30 in that aura.
And physical power is going to be big against a Tyr, a Susano, a Hercules, and a Neith. Not so much against a Freya though, but we'll see if the game continues, if Freya can really continue on the stride that ShadowNightmare has been showing.
I mean, we could see MoGoW go for a Runic Shield to try and lower that magical power coming out of Freya, and I also expect to see a Witchblade at some stage of the game from either MoGoW or Dardez or both. That's really still a pretty good item. Even the anti-heal passive on it now is pretty decent up against FleuryQ and ShadowNightmare, and excellent against Frezzyy.
Really surprised Jermain came through that portal then, knowing that Frezzyy was right there clearing wards outside it. Wall coverage around that portal is going to be very important to make sure you've got eyes on if you're going to go through it yourself, or if the enemy's going to be looking to keep an eye on it.
Absolutely. Dardez taking a little bit of poke. Frezzyy not worried about any sort of poke, because like we mentioned, that mitigate wounds so strong at keeping him topped off.
Keep an eye on the gas pedal. That is the Faeles that's on ShadowNightmare now. He's just finished off part of his core build that's very important to a Freya, and with the Gold Fury spawning, they're definitely looking for picks and use this as a power play opportunity.
This is a big power spike for Freya, like you mentioned, and he's almost to the biggest power spike that Freya hits, is that finishing that third item. As soon as you get a ring online, last time we saw ShadowNightmare piloting this Freya in the middle lane, it was the Demonic Grip third item directly into the Telkines, and it looked like he was building to the Shaman's Ring as well. So ShadowNightmare looked like he wanted to finish the entire ring tree, but it's all about getting that attack speed and getting that big power boost, because Freya's base numbers alone are just pretty insane on Pulse and Irradiate. Adding some extra power, penetration, and attack speed into that, and you've got what Freya is, and that's an absolute monster, even in the mid-game.
Gold Fury started here by Novus. A bit of a mistake there by FleuryQ with the backflip to reset it because no one was in range. FrostiaK keeping too busy on the left, and Elevate, whether they're aware, whether they're not in position, who knows, they lose a Gold Fury for free and allow Novus to just extend their lead a little bit more.
Poorly timed back there by Faeles. That's why you see Elevate not trying to stick their heads in there and contest and see what's happening, because Batz was running from base, still trying to get there. Even with the ultimate from BlizzardFX, just not enough mobility to get there in time, and as a result, the Gold Fury, second one of the game, goes the way of Novus Orsa. They're sitting 3.5k up, and I was talking earlier, 7-minute mark, you know, not really worried about the 1,600 gold lead.
Yep.
4,000 gold at 15 minutes. Still not over by any stretch of the imagination, but starting to concern me a little bit.
Yeah, definitely, because normally the second Gold Fury is normally the key of whether you're going to be even in the game or heavily behind in the game for the most part. And that's where Novus sit now up against Elevate. Elevate are kind of like, well, we need the next Gold Fury at least to bring things back to even. The Relic situation is always going to be interesting as the game goes on. Hitting those level 12 spikes is one thing. I'm just looking at Ducky in the solo lane now, who is 2 levels over MoGoW still.
Yeah, that solo kill really helped him out, and then the gank as well from FrostiaK. 2 kills onto MoGoW, and Ducky has really made it happen ever since. He's got no fear of even walking up all the way to this tier 2 tower, and I don't blame him, because the lineup for Elevate, they're really relying on Jermain to bring the main sources of damage in this game. Janus, great in the late game, not so great right now as far as damage goes.
Here overall, because Faeles was waiting around the corner. Space and time fired. Aegis was used to absorb damage, but the backflip was good. Not good enough to get away from an unstable vortex. And a Fear No Evil free pick onto FleuryQ.
That's exactly what you want as Elevate. You just want someone to step a little bit out of position, and that's exactly how you get yourself back into a game like this, is finding a pick on someone who is just egregiously out of position. And that's exactly what FleuryQ was.
With the mid lane from Dardez, not going to hit home, but the Faeles will after the banish come out from ShadowNightmare. That combo was beautiful, but Dardez is a tanky little dwarf and can easily escape through the jungle on the right.
Heads up play, just not even trying to jump out towards his teammates in the middle lane, just immediately taking that wall exit over into the jungle. But you can already see how much disposition there is on this roster for Novus Orsa. They've worked so well, not only in this game, but in the last time we saw ShadowNightmare playing this Freya in the middle lane, just playing off of the banishes, just using that as a setup CC for the rest of the team. And I mean, Dardez literally just got moved half a lane.
And Dardez, though, will go straight back to base, and what I do love about him is what his relic choice was, is his second one, the horrific emblem here. Very, very strong against the composition is against it. Attack speed slow and movement speed slow against the likes of Freya and FleuryQ on that Neith and Susano.
And you don't see any sprints being picked up by now by Novus Orsa. Again, it's Frezzyy picking up Sanctuary or Aegis in that support role, just trying to avoid that burst of damage. If he was going to go for a selfish defensive relic, I feel like Beads would have been the better option here up against the Fear No Evil, the
Frezzyy?
chain slows. Yeah, I mean, he's not dying to any burst outside of Fear No Evil. Most of the game, right? So if you're going for something that I'm just trying to stay alive with, I feel like Purification Beads would have been the answer. FleuryQ, there's the blink, there's the Fear No Evil. No purification for him, no life. Faeles picks him up.
And that's a free kill. However, Novus looking to try and go for the demon portal on the right-hand side here. A little bit of a contest from Elevate here. MoGoW forced out ult defensively there, doesn't find a target. He will get a heal off that, but it's still buying time for this portal to be taken down. Left-hand side, Elevate are looking at a tier 1 tower at the same time. This is taking a hell of a long time to bring down space and time.
Oh, not quite.
Gonna steal it away, but the tier 1 on the left will fall in trade.
Yeah, very surprised to see Novus content to all in that demon portal, especially if they're not going to get here in time to contest this tier 2 tower. Jermain does have a ton of attack speed already on this Apollo. The FrostiaK is going to rotate in, so it looks like that tier 2 tower will stand, but it's going to take a lot of damage already.
Jermain gets pulled in against that of FrostiaK. Good mez in place. The Aegis used by FrostiaK, and there's a World Weaver coming through too, but across the skies, the Tornado, not enough. Typhoon, I should say, does not secure.
So again, it's just that the two new teammates just not quite on the same page. We saw FrostiaK and Frezzyy pulling people out of FrostiaK's damage in the last game, and this time, it's just not on the same page. ShadowNightmare, he's going in on this right-hand jungle. MoGoW uses the taunt, get a big heal, but ShadowNightmare still doing a lot of damage. He's 72 transformations right into the clutches of Ducky.
But Ducky's still not going to be able to do enough. Faeles goes in on ShadowNightmare. ShadowNightmare's dead. No chance for Shadow there to use the ultimate escape. However, FrostiaK will find Faeles in response. Unstable Vortex from Blizzard, and there's a great blink from Ducky. Better beads from Blizzard.
Yeah, really, really nice play there by Ducky. He's looked very, very strong on this tier. FrostiaK just exploded there. It just gone. 1 CC and dead.
This is the Doom Orb that I was expecting we may see in the mid lane, coming out a bit more for the mana regeneration, but the power is great, and then on top of that, Spirit Desolation. Mages are going to be swinging if they start building this.
A lot of damage, a good amount of CDR as well, because remember, Blizzard is getting CDR from that Sands of Time starter item on top of that Spear of Desolation. So he's got the utility that you want out of your Janus, and then we saw, I said this lineup may be lacking damage, but with a Doom Orb Spear of Desolation, BlizzardFX is not in that category.
MoGoW is going to finally answer about the tier 1 tower on the right, as on the left, Elevate will take down the Gold Fury there, and even the game up, finally, back to an even game.
And it all starts because FleuryQ's in the wrong spot on the left-hand jungle. They find one pick that gives him a little bit of pressure.
Is that what he did?
No, he went to steal the oracles away from Jermain as he was doing those. He gets jumped on by both Faeles and BlizzardFX. Yeah. And then he gets killed again on the left-hand side while Novus Orsa wants to do the portal demon. With it's just a snowball effect from one port decision.
They're even in mid lane again, looking for pressure to ShadowNightmare. Oh, this through space and time hit. Shadow's one hit from death, looks to avoid the damage. Can't in time, his ultimate was up. He was trying to hold it for the last second. Still not enough, and now Frezzy's in trouble too.
Just taking so much damage from Jermain on the run. He is going to be able to get away for now, but the tier 1 tower will fall in favor of Elevate, and this is the problem with Freya in a position like the middle lane. You've just got so many different areas that you're vulnerable to, and there Faeles. It's just making it happen for Elevate. We said it right away before this game even started. Faeles looks like the best of these rookies.
21 minutes in, Fire Giant started by Elevate. More of a bait than anything else, because you can see Jermain on the front line here, looking to deal damage as well. All grouped up, 5-on-4 for now until ShadowNightmare respawns. However, ShadowNightmare's relics are on cooldown, so Novus just looking to try and slow this down.
FrostiaK eats that pin, gonna give a little bit of damage in return to Dardez, but he has that meditation as well as that horrific emblem. You can see Elevate, they could fight, they can do the Fire Giant, taunted away as Frezzyy.
Typhoon over the top, Fire Giant goes the way of Elevate, and now Frezzy's in trouble as well. The Aegis of Survivor moments, MoGoW goes in. FrostiaK wants Dardez at the same time, but Ducky is surrounded, trying to go deep and keep them all busy. Blizzard gets credit for the kill.
But MoGoW is gonna fall here. I think, no, the meditation is perfect! ShadowNightmare, he's gonna fall. Dardez saves the life of his soul later, fails. He's not done yet. He's looking for FleuryQ, gets rooted out by the Spirit Arrow. It's gonna dissuade him from chasing 4 now, but Jermain, he's up in the sky. He comes crashing down right on top of both. FleuryQ, he's on the run. Jermain doing so much damage. He will find one more, and he will underneath the tower. FrostiaK falls as well. 4 dead. Frezzyy, the only one alive.
And Frezzyy can't really hold off them taking the tier 2 towers, or even a Phoenix right now, I don't think. ShadowNightmare again looked to try and make a play. Once again, didn't get his ultimate off.
Just the CC chains have been so strong from Elevate. They've got a ton of it available to them. The pins, the knockups, the taunts, and he felt like he was going to do enough damage to finish off MoGoW and then use Valkyrie's discretion to disengage, but the meditation was perfect from Dardez, and ShadowNightmare just got baited.
Elevate could be taking their way to the SPL, the start of the spring split here. They were in relegations after a hard-fought battle throughout last year, and right now they're doing well against Novus. They could secure this if this carries on.
And like we mentioned, I mean, it's been the addition of Faeles that's really turned this team around for me. I mean, World Edit was in the jungle for the majority of last split, and we always heard a lot about how talented World Edit was, and we saw flashes of it from time to time, but Faeles seems to be a little bit more controlled, a little bit more calculated in where he is, and he always seems to be at the right place in the right time.
Well, ShadowNightmare, level 15 right now, 3 levels down on Blizzard. Has got some of his build coming online a little bit more overall, but it's working out okay for him. He just needs to find the damage overall. You saw the early game when he got that first kill, it was great.
Yeah, and we could see how much damage he was doing there to MoGoW in that sort of scenario, but like we mentioned a bunch of times, just gets baited by the meditation. Yeah. But it's only going to get more and more damage from here. He's finally finished that demonic grip. He's working on his last item, Jermain.
Making a couple of mistakes there, looking to box for no reason, space and time. Comes through, looking for the portal to get away, but the Typhoon knocks him up in place. The portal absorbs some of the damage from the Fear Weaver, but still FrostiaK in trouble, being chased by MoGoW, who gets driving strike by Frezzyy towards MoGoW, and that's going to force FrostiaK back a little more. That's
enough. That's exactly the pick that Novus Orsa needed. It was FleuryQ getting picked that allowed Elevate to get back into it, but now it might be this pick on Jermain that does the same for Novus Orsa.
Hammer hits onto Frezzyy. MoGoW going to follow up with a knock-up of his own as well. Unstable Vortex doesn't hit as the banish comes through from MoGoW. Now, with the Portal Demon being here, Novus are looking to burst this down as quick as possible. Dardez, MoGoW looking at wards instead. I don't think they're going to get here in time. It's going to go the way of Novus.
But this fight might go the way of Elevate with that huge unstable Vortex. It Faeles is here! He teleports in. The Sanctuary saves ShadowNightmare's life for now, but the jump immediately into Valkyrie's discretion. Faeles trying to juke him out, needs one more auto, but the peel is perfect from Frezzyy, except for the monkey! It jumps to ShadowNightmare, and then he picks up Frezzyy as well!
Faeles does finally fall to Ducky though, but now Ducky's turning into an awkward spot too. Ping goes down, but not enough for a cripple as per usual. Ducky though trying to juke out the abilities, trying to buy time for his team. Too little, too late, 4 are dead. 1 remains, Frosty versus Elevate.
And Frosty's done it all so far this game for Elevate, but it doesn't matter, I don't think. They're going to be looking at the Titan right now. Jermain laugh spamming, trying to let him know that it looks like it's going to be Elevate moving on to the SPL.
Now this does not mean Novus Orsa are out yet. There is still games to play, but it does mean that Elevate qualify themselves through with how this one's gone. Good game overall. Not clean though, Aggro. No one's been clean today, let's be honest.
They really haven't, and that tends to happen in long days of Smite like this, I was talking about. You get a little sloppy, but for me, it's just the Freya in the middle lane, it's too vulnerable there.
It looked great
so
in the early
hard.
game though. The early game it looks strong.
Sure, but in the mid game, I mean, once Elevate's like, wait a minute, there's a Freya in the middle lane that we could just blink and kill whenever we want, and that's exactly what they did.
Well, Faeles had a fantastic game once again. We've been talking about him and Blizzard for the most part on this roster of Elevate, and their additions seem to be, they've got a good little combo together is the real key here.
I mean, Faeles has just looked unbelievable, and it gets a little, I've never seen someone Sacred Monkeys go as far as his do. I mean, jumping off the Oracles, and then there in the right-hand jungle, it jumps to ShadowNightmare from across the jungle, it looked like, but, you know, sometimes you need a little bit of luck with that RNG as well. Faeles has looked very, very strong, and it's just that control that he brings to the team, I think, that is really important.
And you can actually see what his focus is every single time in ShadowNightmare. He doesn't care about anybody else. He's picking one target and staying on them, and when it's a Freya, that's what you need to do.
Exactly. You just cannot allow a character like Freya to free farm, because we saw what ShadowNightmare can do on it if he is allowed to get those items up.
Very, very true indeed. The standings are always going to be interesting for us as time goes on, because Elevate have now qualified alongside Cyclone for the time being, which means we're down to a 2-horse race, which is Novus Orsa and New Game Plus.
Yeah, it's really up to those two, and the 2 bottom teams could play spoiler here against Novus Orsa or New Game Plus. I'm not exactly sure who they have yet to play. Everyone's played a million games today. I'm not there, but overall, I do know that it's down to Novus Orsa versus New Game Plus, 2 teams that have a ton of SPL level talent, but only one is going to move on to play in the spring split.
Well, there's a little look at that, and we'll be back as well shortly, because it's been a very interesting day so far. Myself and Aggro have been continuing to cast, and we'll continue to do so. But we're going to take a quick break right now and find out what game's going to be next for you guys and who we might see enter the Pro League.